So what would you do if your end dimension was missing an end? On this seed, that problem isn't hypothetical. I tried to defeat a dragon with no end before, and it went pretty poor. Okay, what is happening?
It's okay to not be Welsh. Our hugs from the Shannon family.
Oops. This is one of the fastest moving dragons with some of the most chaotic behaviors you'll ever see, making for an even more dangerous and chaotic end fight. So why am I about to jump in an end portal and go through that, and then maybe even go a step further and reclaim this end? Because that seems really improbable, but even more improbable is that a seed could even do this, and the reason that exists is because this series of numbers right here tells Minecraft to generate the main end island in such a holy way that it doesn't really generate inside the pillars any amount whatsoever. This gives us a main end island which doesn't look anything like an end island or do any of the functions, or in other words, an endless end. And so with that said, I had to know when this bug came to the game because it seems so much like it must be one, right? But even going back to pre-caves and cliffs, it still exists there, and all the way back to the first version of Minecraft Bedrock that had an end, the end generation is exactly the same. And so if this is a bug, it's one that's so rare that hasn't been caught till just now, or it's one that they think is so rare that you'll never naturally find in survival. Either way, this isn't a seed that's just interesting for this very bizarre end, but also the overworld is beyond fascinating because let me show you what the spawn looks like. That's right, directly on top of a woodland mansion, either on the 3rd or on the 2nd floor. Kind of cool. And just next to that mansion is a meadow village, beautiful to look at, but also with its own ruined portal just over here. And then hidden within these mountains which surround the spawn is this cave right here, one of the most interesting ones I've ever seen. As you can see, it's cut out in such a weird square cut way. There's a big T here, which is time to subscribe to Toycat, I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. But also, we've got a cave which for some reason has snow inside of it. Very, very beautiful and very, very weird to see. This is how I had to come out of this cave in the end. And also, you'll find this big rock in the middle. What is inside the big square rock? Well, if you're experienced with Minecraft Bedrock, you'll know this is an attempt to obfuscate the fact that there is a structure that would be uncovered here. So if having an abandoned mineshaft wasn't good enough for you, you could take one of the pickaxes inside and you could decide to use it to mine straight through here. And you know what you would find? Wow, look at that. You're inside of a stronghold. And it's a weird stronghold too. If you take just a glance inside, you'll realize that very quickly it just juts out into a ravine repeatedly. Very handy for exploring, by the way, because you can go right through this thing and then just over here, I want to say, you'll be able to find yourself in jail. But you'll be able to find yourself in the end portal room without having to actually look for it by just going through this ravine. This feels very early Minecraft Bedrock Edition, which is fitting because apparently the most notable feature of the end has existed since roughly that same time. Something that doesn't feel like early Bedrock Edition though is spawning and having Vindicators in your face just 7 seconds later. This could be an avoidable risk, but it's one I wanted to go through with so I could get a Totem of Undying. This was easy enough by itself, but destroying this took me 35 minutes, something I did entirely to make a point about how I wouldn't need a way to avoid death even though this was hard difficulty. I think that playing hard difficulty without a Totem of Undying is actually harder than playing hardcore with it. Anyway, just after this I decided to go to the Nether via a ruined portal, and I had a pretty easy time trading there to get my hands on obsidian, ender pearls, and some twisting vines, basically all of the Nether essentials besides blaze rods, before coming back to the overworld where I made this lovely hole down to my stronghold and used twisting vines to make a ladder back up and down. I've always thought it's fun just how many ladder style blocks Minecraft has. I tried to mix it up from time to time, but your choices are to use a ladder or to use regular vines or crimson vines or a water column or, like me, the twisting vines. I think it's beautiful personally. Anyway, once I was with my end portal, I made a new Nether portal next to it. This is one of the easiest places in Minecraft to do so, and then I decided to kill some Endermen. Now I know the only resource standing between me and taking down the dragon on the endless end is simply having the blaze rods, which means I just need a Nether fortress, and this is thankfully very easy to do on Bedrock. I'd say sarcastically, this was a multi-hour voyage, but I did eventually find a Nether fortress, and if it looks a little challenging, it's because it's in the hardest biome in the game. This is the perfect wrong scenario for Bedrock, but thankfully it won't be an issue for me. And oh no, I'm dead. No. Okay, maybe it will. This is a nightmare scenario for Bedrock where Nether fortresses spawn half as often as their Java counterparts, but Nether mobs spawn twice as much. This is apparently actually an issue to do with the simulation distance, but at the time I didn't know this, so I have this hellish mix of the worst biome in the game with a structure so rare I can't afford to find another one. It's also floating in the air and it's on hard difficulty, so I should definitely prepare for this, and I'm just kidding. We're going to enter the famous Toycat death loop now. Oh, man. It takes so little to die. It's ridiculous. What? I know that you're not. I know you're just a skeleton and all that, but oh, you're also. This is bad. I can't deal with this. He's over there. Ah. So no one's doing anything. Oh, I got too close to him. Oh, what the? At this point, there's not much to feel optimistic about, but if there's anything I can take away, it's the fact that each one of these deaths is reminding me just how easily you can die and lose minutes of work traipsing through the Nether, and it really is a very long time. And so what I've decided to start doing is stop treating this like car crashes, where we accept a certain number of those happen every single year. If I'm being honest, I play Minecraft not like I'm driving a car, but like I'm driving a car while looking out the window the entire time, and I've decided to start treating it like plane crashes, where everyone is a disaster. Every single time I take damage, I say, why did that happen? And as you can see, that's led me to a very safe place where I'm now shooting wither skeletons from a very safe point here. Nothing can get to me because of this slab that's above my head. Even Blaze is gonna struggle. And as you can see, I'm in a very safe spot where nothing can hurt me whatsoever. Check behind me just to make sure, and everything's fine and everything's cool. What the heck just happened? Okay, well, you know, apparently not working so well, but still, it's just 2.5 hearts. Everything is fine and nothing is wrong. There is a wither skeleton that's still holding all of my stuff from my last death, and there's this blaze fireball that seems to be hanging out midair, but it's not my problem. I'm just gonna chill, get my iron sword back from a separate wither skeleton after making sure I put out the fire first, very important, and look how good this thing is going for me. Why? Just give me back my armor. Why is this happening to me of all places? And there's another wither skeleton, of course, and now I'm trapped between wither skeletons and blazes. I think I'm going to die, but I actually get my way out of this one by hiding in a cave. This cave is going to guarantee my success. As you can see, I put the slab down. I can crawl for a 1.5 block gap, but enemies cannot. Now I just have to put my armor on and start eating, and everything's gonna be okay. I am just gonna take a quick peek out there and need to... Oh, how? It was made tiny specifically to avoid this one cause of death. This was the final death in the death loop, and I think honestly the biggest thing that prevented another one was the fact that I died in this cave, which meant there weren't any wither skeletons running around with diamond armor, but I now am officially out and I have my blaze rods, which means now all I have to decide is how I'm going to get ender pearls. I can either trade with piglins or I can kill endermen. Of course, I choose a bit of both, and now I've got these, I'm ready to go to the end for what might be the wildest fight ever. The most dangerous thing about the dragon is not her dragon breath attack, it's not her physical damage even, it's the ability for that physical damage to knock you into the void, and there is a lot of it, as you can see here, and so knowing when the dragon will physically attack you is most of that battle, and pro tip, when she is perched in the center is when she's most likely to fly straight at you, as she almost did there. A weird dragon fact is that at least on Bedrock, she tends not to attack you very much when you're on these pillars, outside of what you're seeing right there, which is obviously her ability to come straight from the perching, which is very, very handy as a thing. And so we just place water each time, do great. And then if she chooses to go back there again, which she very well looks like she might be on the way to doing, here's all we have to do. Be ready to throw an ender pearl to the next place I'm about to go anyway, and then, oh, wow. Okay, I'm fine. I don't think I should be fine. Okay, yeah, I'm doing great. Doing wonderfully. And now I can get down another one of these towers if I'm just willing to make a little bit of a dicey looking catwalk. Okay, I'll admit this is very dicey looking. And then damage that, and then ender pearl down before it's too late. Go all the way to the other world. No! Okay, that was very nerve-wracking. Great. Oh, she missed the center. That is so weird. Oh, yeah, she's like reset. The double damage is gone. How does that happen? Have you ever seen that before? Last try. I just have to avoid being beaten to the ground. Oh no. Okay. No. Oh, she still hit me. I don't know how. Don't know why. Very rude of her. I feel like... Oh no. Oh no. It happened. Okay. Okay. She's in the center. I just have to get to her without being knocked down. And now we get to see what happens, actually. I'm kind of curious, aren't you? How is this gonna go? Am I gonna lose all of the experience? Do I have to start trying to collect that right now? What's gonna... the center? I've got too many questions. Too few answers. No, my experience! I worked hard for that! The dragon is finally defeated, and now it's time to build out the end, but the question is, what would you build in an empty end? This isn't actually a pure hypothetical. Almost everyone has this empty space in their world, usually between the central island and the outer end islands, and in my Let's Play world, I decided to build a giant tunnel there, as well as a massive cherry biome, and a lot of other small niche things, as well as an ender pearl course, but these are things that make sense in a longer term world. What do I want to specifically build here to take advantage of the fact that the end portal is just in the middle of this empty space, and also my respawn point into the end is just over here. Something that I could do repeatedly by going down there and having a teleport point effectively straight back up to the top, because as soon as you go through the portal, you respawn in your bed, which you can set to be near your end portal, meaning I now have a teleport option between the center of my end and one of the outer parts of the central island, and crucially, it doesn't require any valuable items to use or any items, which means we could teleport people back to the start to try something again if they say died by falling into the void. I thought this opportunity was just so valuable that even though I had some other ideas for this space, I wanted to build every underground biome or build some Nether style houses and populate them with villagers to have a fun combination of all 3 dimensions. I thought that it was just too good an opportunity to pass up, and so I immediately wanted to mine some copper. But if you're going to do that, you need to of course upgrade your pickaxe to be netherite, which is easy enough to do, but enchanting it to make sure it gets fortune is a little bit harder. But fortunately, I recently came into a lot of XP, and if you don't know about this tip, let me show you how you can use the dragon's experience not just to go up to level 60 or level 40, but instead get an increasingly decent series of enchantments. So you've just killed the dragon, and all of that experience is about to pop out, and a lot of people just logically think I should go and collect this all, but actually you should only collect this till you get to about level 33 or so. Then you want to place all of the bookshelves that you're going to need. This is a weird thing to bring to the end with you, but trust me when I say it's definitely worth it. And then you're going to want to place down your enchantment table and also have a grindstone here. Now what you can do is you can enchant your pickaxe. I forgot lapis lazuli. Let's quickly grab that. But you can grab your lapis lazuli and you can keep making these level 30 enchantments, and when you get one you don't want, you can immediately grindstone it off and then grab enough XP to get those same levels again. Because the Minecraft levels work in the, like level 1 is easier to get than level 2, and level 33 is significantly easier to get to than level 60, meaning instead of getting level 60 once, you can get level 33 dozens of times, and so we can try time and time again to see if we can get fortune free. We got fortune 2, but it's just not good enough. Maybe this one will have fortune 3, it won't, and so we grindstone them off again and again and again, trying to get the enchantments that you want. Say you specifically want sharpness, or maybe you're literally crazy and you want to have Bane of Arthropods, then you could do the same with a sword, and by doing this, yes, Bane of Arthropods, I am in business right now, and also Smite, which is the more useful of the 3 enchantments, but you can specifically guarantee you get certain enchantments in a way that is much easier than the classic method of villager trading, and with just a few more of these runs, you'll see that I have a silk touch pickaxe if I want one, or if I don't want one, and like I did in this challenge run, I wanted fortune real bad, and I managed to get it by just grinding away until eventually fortune showed up. This is the most useful thing you should do when your Ender Dragon drops experience. It's the single biggest experience event in your world, and even if you kill the dragon again, you won't get this much XP for a single bubble, so make sure that you enjoy it while you can. Hey, fortune on literally the next enchantment. Perfect. Now I can scoop up the rest of this, or I can keep enchanting other tools that I want. I always bring some books with me to the end if I want to do this. But just like that, now I have 55 levels, despite having used maybe, well, I guess I can work out from this, I used about 24 levels for enchantments, which means instead of having level 61 and no enchantments, and then I guess 55 and then 2 enchantments, instead I've got level 55 and 8 enchantments. I hope that makes sense, because if it doesn't, then let's move into the next part of this, because as I came back to the overworld, I knew the first thing I wanted was a load of copper, and so I set about mining just over 3,000 off it. If you're actually curious, I did a fun little stream where for every viewer, I mined 9 copper, a full block, which meant I had to mine around 3,600 raw copper, which might seem like a Herculean task, but honestly, with just a single cave and a single hour, I managed to get it done, and now I can make some furnaces and throw it in there. Except actually, while smelting, I not only realized that this takes a lot of coal to smelt and doesn't really provide a lot of experience, but also I think raw copper is a bit more of a flex. With the trial chambers coming to 1.21, I've done the maths, and mining a trial chamber is so much easier than mining copper that if you do mine copper the legit way and you want to have something to show for it, smelting it is actually a destruction of the time showing aspect, and so raw copper is how most of this will be staying. But the much more important part of my plan is going to involve me changing my fortune pickaxe for a silk touch one and then mining some ice. Thankfully, this is a very beautiful area. As you will notice, there are lots of ice mountains around my spawn, and so all I have to do is mine some of those, and I've got an inventory full of ice that I can take with me to the end. And the beautiful thing about taking all of your resources to you to the end is you know that you're going to guard them very carefully, and nothing bad could possibly happen with this full inventory of ice that you've just mined and all of this copper. In retrospect, I guess I was kind of asking for it by bringing my valuables to a place where you can fall off and not just die but lose every single item you own with zero chance of getting it back. This is the most dangerous dimension to build in, something I will be taking fully into account for the rest of this video. But yeah, this means I now have to do an entire recovery arc of not only going and finding myself more diamonds and being able to enchant them that way, but also of getting the experience to enchant, because usually Minecraft is pretty cruel about the amount of levels it gives you back after you die. You know, you die at 80 levels and the best they can do is 7, but when you die in the end, the best they can do is 0, screw you, no experience left, and that means that I have to go on an experience mining trip, which I always personally think is easiest in survival to just do in the nether, mine some nether quartz, and in no time whatsoever, you'll be level 30 and you can get your dream enchantment, except not me, we're going back mining for more. Getting Silk Touch took me a little bit longer the second time, but once I had Silk Touch and I had ice, I had my lovely end ice pathway, and now is the time to explain my idea for this end minigame. It's something I was really excited for, because immediately upon seeing this end portal back to the Earthworld, I thought this looks like the bullseye on a dartboard. I could make a giant kind of dartboard from the end, but then I realized that darts is kind of a sport where you throw something directly at something and it sticks. I want to make something a lot more like shuffleboard, which is where you shuffle a puck along, and after you throw it, it keeps going until it lands somewhere. I figured I could combine darts and shuffleboard to make a minigame where you have to launch your ice boat, you know, a boat from a ice going very, very fast, out towards the end, and you have to see where it lands. You would get the maximum number of points if you could perfectly land in the end portal, of course. The darts bullseye is still there, but otherwise there'll be different points with different scoring zones, and if you fall into the end, then you die and lose the boat permanently, but you also lose. This is a really fun idea that just basically involves me turning this big empty area into a circle, which is handy because I got lots of quartz earlier, and so I'm going to use that to make an end outline. Then I'm going to use the raw copper to represent the very firm lines between scoring zones, so on one side we'll get 1, on the other side we'll get 2. I start to use end stone to go between these different lines, because obviously I don't want to be risking any of this raw copper into the void, and while I was doing that, something interesting happened. Out a few blocks. Oh no! What just happened? Why did I just decide to do that? I think is a very valid question. Looking at this and assuming, Toycat, did you just want to die? It looks like you walked off the edge, is exactly what I would assume if I was watching this, but no, I was playing with a keyboard and mouse at the time, and I pressed W very slightly and then immediately unpressed it, but for some reason, Minecraft or my keyboard or my PC or something just decided to take that as, yeah, we'll continuously walk forward all the way off the edge of the end, and so all of that work and all of my raw copper that I spent an hour mining is gone, and at this point I want to say screw the project, I'm done with it. I think we've all had this moment where finally after a long time you're at a point where you feel pretty comfortable and you're excited to work on something, and all of that work just gets destroyed. And like I always say, I think that this is a natural feeling, but one of the more powerful things you can do is try and rise above it. I have said many times on this channel that just because you're dead, it's not all over. I have a whole video about that, in fact, and so I try to practice what I preach and say, okay, I've lost everything, now what? And the answer to now what is I haven't actually lost everything. I've got my world still, and I have a lot of iron that I just happen to pick up, and so I make an iron axe. I decide that my raw copper would have been really nice on the flex level, but really how different is acacia wood to copper anyway? And so I go a very far distance to a savanna biome, I chop down some acacia trees, and then I come right back to the end where I have used it to place these same lines that I was going to make out of raw copper, and on the surface a part of me is, feeling sad about the difference, but if you look up here you can see that actually it's not so different. This is my shuffleboard reality coming to life, and all it took was about an hour of slowly regaining my stuff and also having worse tools than I had before, but look at me, I have shuffleboard/darts sorted right now. Except it's obviously not done, right? I think that even though this is where I left off on the last stream, I think I want this to be fully finished, and so let's use the only block that I have any real access to, and let's fill this in. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I've made this substantially uglier than it was before. Like, seriously, I do not know how I managed to make this that much worse in every single way, and I don't think more endstone or more acacia planks would help. Not that I have any access to either, because I used up all of it to make that how it was. And in case you're curious, like, is that really all that endstone we saw earlier? This is definitely a world where we can't admit that we've died, it would be really embarrassing if people thought I died in this world of all worlds. But yeah, at this point, I think a lot of people would say, oh yeah, that's bad. Back to the drawing board, you can't have a build that ugly in your Minecraft world. But I feel like on this channel, especially for this challenge, this is actually perfect. The Ender Dragon tried to give me the most ridiculous challenge in the world. She tried to make an endless end, and I've replaced it not with something beautiful that justifies her sacrifice, but with this. And you know what? It's technically still going to work as a game. And so you know what? For one last time, with all of my worldly belongings, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to ride my boat outwards into the end, and let's see if we can't survive. Oh, bullseye, bullseye. Oh, no. Oh, wow. That is actually impressive. Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Seriously, what are the odds of that happening? I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you would like to give the world a try, I do give downloads for worlds like this to members, and so you can download this, give it a shot, maybe with your friends, try and score it for yourself. I don't think it will, it might be a fun little game to play with friends. Also, I hope that you enjoyed my stream series of this. If you'd like to see more of the live stuff like this happening, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and YouTube will let you know 30 minutes before any stream goes live with one of these handy notifications. You might enjoy that a lot. At least a lot more than you enjoyed whatever this is. Beautiful is what I tell you. This was worth the dozen hours of work that led up to this point, and I hope that you found it to be as satisfying as I have. This has been a very fun time, and I hope to see you in the next one, if I can rhyme. Goodbye.